Good morning, everyone. It's a new day here. I'm looking at my Jerusalem artichoke that's 10 feet tall and all blooming in yellow, little looking like uh, black Susans. And then the Rose of Sharon still blooming. You guys are there they are. And my garden shoes, which are water shoes. But they work great. I walk great in those. A couple of things. My brother-in-law is working on the kitchen, so we spent some time in the garage together. And he tells me, says, "Hey, guess what? Yesterday I saw 4 eagles. 3 of them were soaring really, really high, but one was low enough down he could see what it was, and they were bald eagles. We have been here 20 years now, plus a few months. If anybody has something to say about that, I just go over with them to the barn and say, you see that? We engraved 2003. That's when we put the barn up. And so we got here in the end of May 30th in 2003, which makes what? 20 years here now. There comes Maverick. Looks like the horses are back from their excursion. There's the donkey, Sage. Wow, 20 years in this beautiful place, and I'm still under construction. Well, I'm good. With everything that was temporary, that kind of became permanent over 20 years, you just kind of go with it, right? Yes? Yeah. So the bald eagles. In 20 years, I have never seen bald eagles here, but they flew over our property this year. For one reason or another, the one thing, when we got here 20 years ago, there wasn't as much vegetation, and we left it basically untouched except for a few places, like where we built the house, and maybe a trail or so to get to the back flat in case we have to go and check on the horses all. And then we have the B side, which it's called the B side because of, the like records, old records have A sides and B sides. Yeah. Oh, I had no idea why my children called that the B side. Okay, the B side, A and B, but it was according to. I just found that out a few months ago. Oh, all right. So, but otherwise, we leave everything untouched. I pick up the sticks on the road and have the driveway nice and cleaned and cleared, and of course, it's great kindling. And otherwise, we leave everything untouched, and things definitely, places where we were able to go before with a car, are not accessible anymore. So, it has attracted many different animals, wildlife, and birds. They all, right? Yes. Wonderful. It's just wonderful. I mean, bald eagles happens to be a bird that I don't want to say feel connected to or anything, but are like sunflowers to me. And if someone were to say, so what's your favorite bird? I probably would say the bald eagle. Bald eagles are very, very family oriented. Sunflowers turn their heads towards the light. Yes. Oh, okay. Anyway, it's so exciting. And it's almost as if when he told me that, I thought, man, wouldn't it be just amazing if we'd had a pair, maybe 2 pairs of bald eagles building nests here. Huh? Yes? Yeah. Gotta protect the baby chicks again. Okay. Anyway, give and take. with domestic life and wildlife. Then I went into the garden yesterday. My garden looks great again. I worked for a week, if not longer, and got everything back to, yes, the way Daniela likes it. And went out yesterday, picked more zucchinis. I'm not sure what to do with all the zucchinis. We've got lots of it already in the freezer. Uh, but zucchini bread today. I'm thinking about making a lot of zucchini bread so I can put some in the freezer. Yes, and then what? I made the greatest yummy thing yesterday. I sauteed, so got zucchinis, got a few okra, got some beans, which I blanched and, yes, put in the freezer. Because I still have some in the freezer, need to be not in the freezer, in the fridge to use up. So those were nice and fresh and young, great for, right? Yes, putting them away for later in winter. Then what else? Basil. I picked all the basil. I already have quite a bit of pesto. So what did I do? I made some herb butter. It's one of the best things. And I threw some of that into the leftovers in the blender. I threw that into my eggs, and the dish that I made was. And then I found one little field mushroom. Yes, it was still good. It was a nice size, just like this little oomph. Yes, that I found in the garden and reminded me you've got to go up the hill no matter what to go and look for them chanterelles that nobody has picked now in about 2 years. So there should be plenty. Chanterelles are a great mushroom. They can be dried easily. They can be frozen. They don't turn to mush. Yes. All right. And what else did I find? Let me think. I went and looked around. Oh, my radishes are coming up. Yes. Oh, yeah. And what else did I find? What else did I end up with? I think that was about it. Got one piece of ginger that was laying over on top, drying. The plant hasn't quite dried down yet, so I'm not picking that yet. But there was one, so I picked out one little piece of ginger. Yes, I was so excited. I walked back in with my big old basket of all them goodies, and it was like, I thank the grace of God. I also took care of the chicken coop yesterday, and I think we got the problems fixed where the critters get in. And again, the one thing I have to say, it's not the wildlife, it's not whatever, it's us. We were to blame. The on how they got in up on the top with, instead of that being a some kind of a wire mesh, just being plastic was just a bad idea, right? Oh, so many years here and I didn't know. I thought it was wire. Until the damage became apparent, all right? Yes. And then also noticed on the chicken door that there was a space where definitely snakes could get through. So that's all being taken care of. I got a mama over here, I think, with 4 or 5 babies now. I can't tell. She's not showing them. And she'll be about ready to go out there soon. And the chicken coop will be definitely secured this time. Yes, yeah. The snake in the loft, possibly the rat snake. It's not a poisonous one, but it's killing all. It's taking the eggs and it's killing the babies. So that may have been our problem for some time, a year or two. Yep, and we just didn't know. It's when things get a little bit out of hand, yes, and it is what it is. Again, who's to blame? So, getting things back in order, right? Yes, I like the eggs from our chickens. So, and I had to go. There were a bunch of them in the fridge. I had to go through them all because guess what? Yep, and you got people here who don't know that when a hen sits on the eggs long enough, your eggs turn into what? Okay. So it was a bit gross. Saved a few eggs. Now we're back on track. Yes. Which reminds me of what? Guidance. Guidance in people's lives. Yes. And on how, in so many ways, right? People sometimes disregard the knowledge and expertise that people have been doing certain things for a long time. Yes. Are we always right? No. But yeah, things can get out of hand very, very quickly. And then one has to just what? Clean up the mess. Yes. Little by little. In any case, so I made this yummy, wonderful dish with where I sauteed and just a little bit of butter or margarine, whatever you like, some zucchini, a little bit of garlic, some of our onions from the garden, which I all saved, thank God. And what else did I put in? And then I added on, let's see what else. Oh, the little mushroom, yes. I sauteed all of that. Then I have some eggs now that are all cracked and in a bowl in the fridge, and they need to be used up pretty quickly. And I took some of the eggs and put some spices in it, and yes, yep, and the leftovers from that garlic butter, and I poured all that over top, put it on very low, put a top on, and let that just cook really slow, and it was delicious. I am not good at turning things over in a pan like that, so I gave up on that. I just slow cook it until it looks good on top. And it was delicious. And then I had some rice and stuff left over, and I made little rice balls. They were curry. It was a curry rice. Made some rice balls. I threw a couple of eggs in there, a little flour, made some rice balls, and I fried them up. Yum. Perfect addition. Yes. There you go. That was my dinner. My lunch, my dinner. Yes. It's good. It's very good. And it was mostly goodness, all from right here. My favorite food. All right, so let's get going. There's my little cup. That's my little espresso cup. All right. So we are in Samuel 25. 1 Samuel 25. Death of Samuel. Oh. Story of Nabal and Abigail. Samuel died, and all Israel assembled to mourn for him. Well, wow. Very unceremoniously, huh? Samuel died. Done. Okay. They buried him at his home in Ramah. David then set off and went down to the desert of Maon. Now there was a man in Maon whose business was at Carmel. The man was very rich. He owned 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. Wow, amazing. They all know these exact numbers. I'm just saying. He was then at Carmel, having his sheep shorn. The man's name was Nabal, and his wife's Abigail. Abigail is my granddaughter's name. Abigail. Well, there you are, Abby. She spells her name A-P-P-Y right now. Appy. She has a mind of her own. That's all I can tell you. You could show her, well, actually, and she'll look at you and go, okay, well, right now, that's my name. Appy. Cute. She was a woman of intelligence and beauty, but the man was miserly and churlish. He was a Calebite. Intelligence? She was a woman of intelligence, beauty, but the man was miserly and churlish. That doesn't mean that he didn't have intelligence and beauty too. So interesting. The woman's described more or less in one way. Okay. Interesting. Just interesting to me on how people are described. And what does it have to do with anything? When David heard in the desert that Nabal was at his sheep shearing, he sent 10 men off, having said to them, "Go up to Carmel, visit Nabal, and greet him for me. And this is what you are to say to my brother." His brother? "Peace to you, peace to your family, peace to all that is yours. I hear that you now have the shearers, your shepherds were with us recently. We did not molest them, nor did they lose anything, all the while they were at Carmel. And we're back to hearing the roosters, aren't we? Ask your young men, and they will tell you. I hope that you will give the men a welcome, coming as we do on a festival. Whatever you have to hand, please give to your servants and to your son David." Huh, that's one way to get into someone's psyche. Okay. David's men went and said all this to Nabal for David and waited. Nabal reported to the men in David's service, "Who is David? Who is the son of Jesse?" Wow, really? He's a Calebite. So from Caleb. And he doesn't know who David is? And that the king has been after him for so long? Ah, okay. There are many servants nowadays who run away from their masters. Oh, he does know who he is. Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, I also figured out covering the feet in this language here, that it means they're to sleep. They're going to sleep. All right. Anyway, am I to take my bread and my wine and the meat that I have slaughtered for my shearers and give it to men who come from I know not where? David's men turned on their heels and went back, and on their arrival told him exactly what had been said. David then said to his men, "Every man buckle on his sword." Oh, so we're going to go and take what's not ours by force? And they buckled on their swords, and David buckled on his too. I don't know. Let's find out. About 400 followed David, while 200 stayed with the baggage. They had baggage? No. So they had stuff. Now one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, he said, "David sent messengers from the desert to greet our master, but he flared up at them. Now these men were very good to us. They did not molest us, and we lost nothing all the time we had anything to do with them while we were out in the country." Well, wouldn't that be a kind of a given? Why would David molest anyone? Or take anything from anyone? Come on now, hello. How's that right? Don't we have a commandment? Thou shalt not steal, number 1. Number 2, don't take things from your neighbor and all that. Okay, that's not steal. Come on now. What, so I'm supposed to accept, oh, wow, looky here. David is doing the right thing and he's not a thief? Well, hello, that should be a given. Yet this is really being boushed up here, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Oh. Ooh. Ah. Okay. Just saying. Night and day, they were like a rampart to us all the time we were with them, minding the sheep. So now, make up your mind what you should do, for the ruin of our master and his whole family is a certainty, and he's such a brute that no one can say a word to him. So here David has been really good to these shepherds and all that. Now the master of them says, well, why should I give you anything? He asked them back. And they didn't have an answer. It just turned around and left. That's what it says here. Right? Just because someone is a little bit sourly and this and that doesn't mean that they might just not go for just whatever anybody says. What's wrong with that? Get a little clarification. Maybe David should have gone himself. Say, hey, can you help me out? Do you want to help me out? I'll tell you why you should help me out. It'd be great if you helped me out. No? Okay. Well, that didn't happen. And here now, right? Oh, so David knows how to act correctly towards, but here towards the shepherds, but shepherds are worried, say, hey, this is going to be our downfall because we're not helping him. We're not giving what he wants. Give him what? Something that doesn't belong to David? I'm just asking. Let's see how the story goes. Abigail hastily took 200 loaves, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep, ready, prepared, 5 measures of roasted grain, 100 bunches of raisin, and 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on donkeys. She said to her servants, go on ahead, I shall follow you. But she did not tell her husband, Nabal. As she was riding her donkey down behind a fold in the mountain, David and his men happened to be coming down in her direction, and she met them. Now David had decided it was a waste of time my guarding all this man's property in the desert so that he lost nothing at all. He has repaid me bad for good. May God bring unnameable ills on David, and worse ones too, if by morning I leave a single man-jack alive, of all who belong to him. Okay, wait a second. So now, and the shepherds kind of confirm that, well, he was protecting us in the desert, and he didn't molest us in the desert. Protect them from what? I mean, Nabal is that dumb. He got that rich by putting his shepherds out somewhere with them thousands and thousands of his livestock in jeopardy? That's not how you get rich, by the way. Okay. So, and also, why didn't the shepherds immediately come back and say, hey, guess why we were so safe out there? They didn't. Ah, okay. This, again, is a story of to say, really, it's not in favor of David. But we were made sure that we knew that Abigail was intelligent and beautiful. I don't know what the beauty has to do with her, with any of this. Intelligence maybe, but the beauty? Who cares? Has no meaning here right now in this part of the story. And then here's Nabal, and we're being made aware of and how disagreeable his temperament was. Right? Really? Okay, I'll look at this a little bit differently, don't I? How am I looking at this? Who's actually following God here? Anybody? Who is? Here is Abigail, instead of going to her husband and having a good conversation, having some give and take with her husband as his wife, and say, hey, look, this is what I heard from the shepherds as well. Why don't we help this guy out? No, she does it all what? Behind his back. Yeah, that's going to make him much more happy, right? Yes? Okay, all right. I'm just saying. As soon as Abigail saw David, she quickly dismounted from the donkey and, falling on her face in front of David, prostrated herself on the ground. She fell at his feet and said, let me take the blame, my lord. Let your servant speak in your ear. Listen to what your servant has to say. My lord, please pay no attention to this brute, Nabal, for his nature is like his name. Brute is his name, and brutal he is. But I, your servant, did not see the men whom my lord sent. And now, my lord, as Yahweh lives, and as your soul lives, by Yahweh who kept you from the crime of bloodshed, and from taking vengeance with your own hand, may your enemies and all those ill-disposed towards you become like Nabal. As for the present which your servant has brought, my lord, I should like this to be given to the men in your service. In the beginning it just says, it doesn't say anywhere that he's a brute. He was miserly, and churlish. But it doesn't say anywhere that he was a brute. That's a big difference to me. But maybe not to them. Who knows? So again, please forgive your servant for any offense I have given you, for Yahweh will certainly assure you of a lasting dynasty, since you are fighting Yahweh's battles and no fault has been found in you throughout your life. I can butter up people too. Should anyone set out to hunt you down and try to kill you, your life will be kept close in the wallet of life with Yahweh your God, while your enemies' lives he will fling out of the pouch of the slain. Once Yahweh has done for you all the good things which he has said he will do for you, and made you ruler of Israel, you must have no anxiety, my Lord, no remorse over having wantonly shed blood, over having taken a revenge. When Yahweh has done well by you, then remember your servant. Now, wait a second. So, what? So, if you're in God's service, then you're allowed to, what? Kill? Take? Break any of the commandments you feel like? Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, I guess that's what it is. God's good with that? As I said, reputation of God here. Yeah, okay. David said to Abigail, "Blessed be Yahweh, God of Israel, who sent you to meet me today." It worked. "Blessed be your wisdom, and blessed you yourself for today, having restrained me from the crime of bloodshed and from exacting revenge." Women are good for something. "But as Yahweh, God of Israel, lives, who prevented me from harming you, had you not hurried out to meet me, I swear Nabal would not have had a single man jack left alive by morning." David then accepted what she had brought him and said, "Go home in peace. Yes, I have listened to you and have pardoned you." Tell me, what is there any different in the way that David just did all this to Nabal, or how, the whole thing, and how does, if that is not blackmail? If you don't give me what you have, I'm going to come and get it. That's robbery on top of everything else, right? Yes? So, I just have a question for everyone. So if someone comes and says, "Hey, you know what? I need this, 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 and this, because I forgot this snap, but I really need that, blah, 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 right?" And I'm going, "Well, what do you want it for? I mean, I need to know a little more about it, all this. So no, I'm not, no. So, well, if you don't do that, I'm going to just come and take it from you." People are good with that? Are you good with that? But if I don't put everything that people expect from me to put outside my house that I have here, that is mine, okay, I worked for, paid for, this and that, and I'm not willing to put it out there, I'm telling you what, people come and ask me if I have it to give, I give it, okay, done. I don't even ask, really, when it comes down to it, okay? But because I believe there's a reason for it. If they come and they ask me, at least they're asking. They're not just taking. Okay. Then I do believe, okay, there's a reason for that. And I give. Whenever I can, I give. Okay? But I wouldn't be okay if then when I say, "Well, I don't have that, I can't give you that, or this or that." And then they just come and they, first of all, kill me, okay, and then just take whatever they want. That's okay with people? Who is that okay with? Oh, we know who that's okay with. Right now, anywhere in the world. With people who are exactly like David? Yeah. Yes. And there are, I guess, women like Abigail who are trying to intercede and go, this is not going to end well, so I'm just going to do it my way. Okay, all right. It'd be better if she had a better relationship with her husband. And again, was he such a brute, really? It doesn't really explain on how he's such a brute. He's miserly, so he doesn't like to give, right? And he's churlish. Well, we don't know why. Isn't that one thing, too, in this world right now? So you have to accept everybody's attitude and their moods and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there was a pill at that time for it? I'm just saying. But what is he made out of? I would ask Nabal. Into a bad person so that then you can go and take his stuff? Oh, okay. Abigail returned to Nabal. He was holding a princely feast, in his house. Nabal was in high spirits, and as he was very drunk, she told him nothing at all till it was daylight. In the morning, when Nabal's wine had left him, and his wife told him everything that had happened, his heart died within him, and he became like a stone. About 10 days later, Yahweh struck Nabal, and he died. That's interesting. I guess God took care of him. All right. Or maybe he was so disappointed. Okay, I don't know. I wasn't there. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Blessed be Yahweh for having defended my cause over the insult which I received from Nabal." Okay. And for having restrained his servant from doing wrong. Wow. This sounds so wrong to me on how blessed be Yahweh for that. Really? Oh, okay. Yahweh has made Nabal's wickedness rebound on his own head. Because of what? How was that so wicked? David then sent Abigail an offer of marriage. Oh, there you go. I knew that was coming. When the men in David's service came to Abigail at Carmel, they said, "David has sent us to take you to him to be his wife." She stood up, then prostrated herself on the ground. "Consider your servant a slave," she said, "to wash the feet of my Lord's servants." Quickly Abigail stood up again and mounted a donkey. Followed by 5 of her servant girls, she followed David's messengers and became his wife. David had also married Ahinoam of Jezreel, and he kept them both as wives. Saul had given his daughter Michal, David's wife, to Palti, son of Laish, from Gullin. He was already married 3 times, and one of his wives was given away. So they got a divorce. Michal, right? Yes? Then he married. Wow, okay. Wow, sounds all like right and on track with God's, right? Blessing. Does it? Okay. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Interesting, as always. I sometimes wonder on how things could go so wrong in people's hearts to minds when it comes to their conscience, when it comes to doing the right thing, on anything, about anything and everything. Yes? Reading the Old Testament, knowing how many people actually read the Bible, kind of go with it. Accept what are God's blessings really? What does God really expect of us, or is interested in, or is looking for in us? And what are people actually following? And think that's a blessing from God. You really think any war out there between 2 nations and the one that wins is blessed by God? You really think so? Hmm? Just asking. But again, it explains a lot. Why am I looking at things so differently? I want to follow God. I want to follow the 10 Commandments. Something that's really important to God, that we follow them. So we can actually have what? A relationship with God, with the principles of creation and the principles of love. And then truly kind of understand what God is all about, why He created this world, why we are here, why we, as mankind, have free will, freedom to choose, while animals, the birds, the fish in the sea, the plants, the seasons don't. That's all I have to say today. Just things to think about. People can look at the Bible however they want to. Yes, I look at it with compassion for life. Number 1, compassion for, I guess, the 10 Commandments that I'm trying to really truly understand what they really are, what God expected of the people of Israel at that time when it came to that. Yes, and on how somehow, yes, words twisted around in people's mouth. Suddenly, God becomes part of everyone's sin because people make it so. Yes, blessed by God. All right. All one can do is give people something to think about, right? Yes. All right. God's love and blessings always. May He protect you, and I will talk to you all another time.